Hello, everybody. Tonight's a big night for me. I can finally sit again without much discomfort. I don't think I can sit a long time. So, depending if anybody joins me tonight or if we have a lot of comments, this is done when it's done. So, in the meantime, if you are wanting to still join in the chat, please go ahead. Click the link. You're very welcome. If you're on Facebook, I'm going to love your comments. Say who you are because I can't always see who it is. And if you have any questions, please make your comments. I would love to know. I'm going to come back at the end. Like as always, I'm not going to stop halfway through and check all the comments in between because I want to just finish a train of thought. And then if you come in afterwards, if you have comments afterwards or questions, please just tag me. Facebook's very slow nowadays. They wait about a day before they announce anything or they tag you. So let me know if you want to contact me. I'm always available. It's a real person on the other side of Messenger. Or you should have my email by now, but do get into contact if any of these things that we are talking about are resonating with you, because these things are the life-changing things that we are looking for. We may not be knowing what we are looking for all our life, but it really is the substance of what makes life better. So our topic tonight is to talk about internal self-esteem versus external self-esteem. And there's another way of saying it. It is external self-esteem versus real self-esteem. Now, don't knock external self-esteem. External self-esteem can help you get by. When you have nothing else, it's not a bad thing to have external self-esteem. It's not bad to feel good about yourself because of something that you've achieved. That's a good thing. It's not bad to go after success and to chase it and to want it. That's a good thing. It is not bad to be successful and have people like you and respect you for that. It's a good thing. The problem is if you don't have the other side, if you don't have a real liking for yourself, if you have not fully accepted yourself in all your ways, your shiny moments and your difficult times, your qualities that you like and or readily admit to, and the ones that you're scared to even admit to yourself. So if you have not embraced all of you, if you have not accepted all of you, if you haven't learned to trust yourself, if you have not learned to respond calmly from an adult way, and if you have not learned to be fully present in your life, then you may be getting by if you have external self-esteem. So, and I'm going to go through a list, and I'm going to ask you to check yourself. I realize not everybody's got my book, so I will go through the list so that you can check yourself and see, do you have external self-esteem or do you have internal self-esteem? But it's just really one question. But let me give you two questions. Okay. The first one is, if your possessions and your job and the friends who think you're fabulous go away today, will you be able to recover? Will you still be okay? Will you be able to deal with a loss? And will you be able to pick yourself up because you are actually okay inside? You are actually resilient because you like yourself and you respect yourself and you have a belief in yourself. That's the first one. The second one is this. Do you always have to do more? Always have to do more, because that's a trap that external self-esteem lets us fall into. Nothing is ever enough. When I have achieved that million, and now look around me, there's people with 2 million, now I need to go after 2 million. And when I've achieved the 2 million, then I have to go for the Lamborghini that my neighbor is driving. So I've got the first degree, but there's somebody who's got more degrees than me. So let me go after another degree. I've got this position at work, but there's another position that I really need to go after because it's there. And I will only feel good about myself if I have it. So If you're already feeling good about yourself and you say, I'm going to go for that position because I know I can do it, not because I don't feel okay unless I am in that position. That's the difference. And a lot of these you can explain away, and a lot of these you can logically refute because there's stuff we just don't want to know because we don't have the tools to know. But there are signs underneath that shows us that we are not that well. Those signs are in our personal relationships. If your relationships are bought, that's a dangerous sign. If your if your support base is very low, or you have to force people or pay people to support you, then that's a dangerous sign. If you are always exhausted and you always feel that you're stretching yourself too far, that's a dangerous sign. You're perfectionistic and you do not like letting anything out of your hands, and you're successful because you do that, that's a dangerous sign. It's commendable, it's wonderful, but it's dangerous because you're going to suffer in the end. And your personal relationships are going to suffer, and your connection with other people are going to suffer. And that is unfortunately, our primary basic need is for food and for shelter. But none of us become healthy, happy, relaxed adult beings unless we self-actualize. And we self-actualize when we've got that base of connection to others, because that's our second tier. Connection to others is what gives us the drive, the it's called the good things in life. It all comes from connection. It's not from how much money is under your pillow and what you drive and what job you have. It's the connection you have. And if you are not a healed person inside and you get by on your possessions or on your status, you are getting by because of a lack inside you, a need inside you. And that's not something anybody wants to hear. You successfully work very hard because you don't want to face that lack and that need inside you. You don't want it. It's much nicer to be powerful and to be feeling like you're in control of your life than to go and say, okay, why is this not working? But there'll be stuff that's not working. But the very successful side of external self-esteem is only one part. There's a second side to external self-esteem. And that is that some people, in order to feel good about themselves, do not go after filling up themselves and succeeding and being amazing at what they do so that they can have money and positions and status and titles and degrees and accolades behind their name. Some people feel good about themselves only when they do for others. So if you then become a do for other person because it makes you feel good about yourself, you can forget about the fact that you don't matter, that you don't have tools, and that you don't do anything about your wants and needs. It will work for a while. It's great to go out and save lives. It's great to be in any of the healing, helping jobs out there in which you get to make a difference. It is great to be able to go and help in the soup kitchen and help people who have less than you. It makes us feel wonderful. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you do not take care of yourself and this becomes your only ways and means of feeling good about yourself, you only have external self-esteem. And it will only work up to a point because sooner or later, no matter if it's through a position or job or whatever, or if it is because you are giving away of yourself so much, sooner or later, that hole inside you is going to become apparent to you. I just want to see who's there. Let me see. There. Bye, Paul. Talk to you later.
Hi, hello, Louise.
This one. I'm just letting you into the stream. We'll chat just now, okay? Okay, so, all right, so external self-esteem. Now, I'm just going to go through the list quickly of little signs that you can look at. And if you tick quite a few of these little signs, then I want you to go a little bit further and investigate. You may not want to, but just bear with me and just let's look at this. Okay, so one of the biggest ones, one that's there more often than anything else, is reactiveness or blow-ups. And those are like having big reactions and big reactions about stuff that really do not need a big reaction. You want to have a big reaction if a child puts his finger in a plug point. If the milk boils over, that doesn't justify a big reaction, but some of us will have big reactions about every single thing. And there are very few things that needs to be solved with a big reaction. Most things can just be talked through, boundaries can be set, better expectations can be set. So big reactions is not something that you can generally justify. So if you're having a lot of overreactiveness, reactiveness, and if you have any of those everything and nothing fights that are never resolved, then start worrying. Your success is hiding from you what you don't want to see. Okay, anxiety and stress. Okay, we can have anxiety and stress over world matters, and we can have it over the money market, and we can have it over COVID. It is about being sick. So there's a lot of reasons why we can have legitimate anxiety and stress. But there is also an inability to handle normal stress. And that one, there's a difference between having stress and not being able to handle it, and not being able to handle stress at all. And so look at your stress levels and see if you can ever dial back from it, if you can get out of it. If you can get out of it, then you are definitely on the healthier side. If you can't get out of your anxiety and stress levels, it says that you've got an inner trigger all the time that is talking to you behind the scenes, that is telling you to do more, to all the have to's. You have to, you have to, you have to. So that is just check your have to internal language. Okay. People pleasing is the one I've just talked about. People pleasing is very definitely about having other people happy and not yourself. It's not about internal self-esteem. People pleasing is always a willingness to hurt yourself and not have yourself in your own queue. Right. The inability to be yourself, acting in a manner in which you think people will approve of. So it's not the real you, it's what whoever is around. This is how I have to be acceptable. Very big sign, and it's something we have to start become aware of, because we're not even aware we're doing it. It's just auto cue. Another person here, this is how this person likes me to be, and I'll be that person for you. And then we forget who we really are. Loneliness is, you can be as successful as anything, and you can still be lonely. Feeling powerless, and it is misdiagnosed as depression. Withdrawal. Withdrawal, yeah, it's hard to say that you're successful and you can see somebody as withdrawal. It doesn't happen there. It happens in your inner life. It happens in your I will rather just go watch movies, or I'll go and go hide myself in this activity rather than face my inside. So withdrawal shows a lot of ways. It is an inability to engage with the people in your life when you don't get along or when you don't agree, or it is also withdrawing yourself from active life through finding activities in which you can hide. Right? Serial relationship disasters. And that is probably the biggest one to note, because we can't avoid it. We want to be in relationships, and they get messed up one after the other. So if you have serial relationship disasters, then go and check. How do you really feel about yourself inside? Okay. Underachievements, another big one. It's on the same side as people. Overachievement is now the other side. When you go 1 million is not enough, let's go for another one. Addiction or substance abuse, which is really the same as withdrawal. It's a place where I can go and hide. It's a place where I feel better about myself. if you are the one who's already got the 6 million, you're gonna get by on that one. You're gonna be forgiven a lot because you have a lot of possessions, and you're gonna be able to. Everybody's going to pander to you, and people pander to cheap alcoholics. They pander a lot to rich alcoholics. So don't let that one fool you, because people decide to pretend it's not happening. It doesn't mean it's not happening. Okay, procrastination, obviously, when you don't believe in yourself. And that's again on the other side, where you would rather put something off. And so you're going to rather be being the procrastinating people pleaser, and who's the underachiever, which is the same thing as hiding from life, but you feel wonderful about yourself because you're doing so much good in the world without putting yourself out there. Okay, let's mute Paul. Okay, there we go. All right, lack of assertiveness, same place. Body image problems. Body image problems. Okay, so a lot of people struggle with that. But body image problems is one of those inside things which we don't discuss with people a lot. And you can be as rich and successful on the outside, or you can be as wonderful, helping other people and feeling great about it. And when you go back inside, you can still see, don't like myself, don't like how I look, don't like how I come across. You can still have body image problems. So there's a little one, a little sign, right? And it's a little sign because most people actually have it. Indecisiveness, being other-directed. Other-directed is when you're actually going to take in a lot from other people and not trust yourself. Unable to own your own achievements, always putting yourself down. Feeling helpless and unable to control your life. And blaming others and the victim outlook. So these are all the most obvious signs of having a poor self-esteem. And if you feel great about yourself and you still have some of those, go look at the obvious culprit, which is external self-esteem. Okay, so I'm going to let Paul in there on the side, right? Hi, Paul. Welcome to see you. You're muted. You go. No, you're not muted.
How's that?
Better. Now we can hear
Am I okay now?
I think,
Yeah.
I think everybody who's here regularly has now come to know Paul. So it's a bit weird not to see Paul here, right? If anybody's starting to feel that, I need you to put that in the comments for me, okay? Okay, all right, Paul. So you're a high achiever.
Yeah.
And you used to think that you were feeling great about yourself, right?
Right now I
And now
am, but I used to be a high achiever and feel very poorly about myself, and I could never understand why, but now I
yeah.
do.
Okay, so tonight is a great time for you to be here. Thank you. Tonight we'll call it the Louise and Paul show. Thank you. Okay, so tell us more about this. Tell us about how you get through it when you're in this world. You're successful, okay, and there's a certain standard, and there's a certain behavior, and there's a certain image that we have to project to the world, and inside we don't feel good about ourselves. How do you get through the day?
Um, it's like a lot of slippage happens. You sort of you know you sort of go up in the day and then you slip down in the day, and then you're looking for external validation. You don't really have self-esteem. You attach yourself to people who you think are important, and you change your behavior to try and get their attention. Um, it becomes a bit of a pathetic show, actually. You become a chameleon. You're not really authentic. Um, yeah, and it's just basically sad. It's a sad way to live.
That's
Yeah.
the best description of it I have heard so far. Thank you for that, Paul. So
Yeah, I know.
Can
It's
you
horrible.
describe for me? Can you describe for me when you look at your life and you see it? But you know what? I'm good with this. This I'm managing stuff. You see it. How do you explain to yourself what's going on inside you? What's that language inside you about what's this craziness?
I suspect what you are asking me to describe is knowing that I am competent, but not understanding that I can step into my own power and be my own judge of how competent I am. I still defer to the people around me all the time to validate me. In other words, I never live life on my own terms. I live life on what I think are other people's terms and what I think their terms are for me. So it's a hell of a waste of time. Um,
But
it's
what you're
almost like you.
describing now, sorry, Paul, it's fine. Finish your thought. I'll ask you when you're done.
It's almost like you choosing a new god to serve with every set of people. So, for example, at work, you might think, okay, this is the most influential person. Let me try and change my behavior to be like him or to suit him. And then you go to the club, and then you meet the club captain, and you think, okay, this is the most influential person at the club, and I'd like him to like me, and you change yourself slightly for him, and it's just you just feel like you're being pulled through a bush backwards. And then all the time you actually know that you have your own skill set, but you're not actually ever owning it because you never have the confidence to do that. And you also wonder why the heck you don't have the confidence to do that.
When you can see how obviously capable you are.
Yeah, but it never comes through properly because you never acknowledge to yourself that you are unique and that you are entitled to be unique, and you don't have to serve anybody else's your perceived your perception of what you think their needs are of you. So you always handing the judgment to other people, the judgment of yourself. You handing the judgment of yourself to other people on a silver platter, and you
So
keep
what you're
doing that
saying
because
is, sorry, Paul, you're saying you become a people pleaser in a whole different way.
yeah, to another level, and it's exhausting, really.
Okay, so if we if we think that maybe tonight somebody is lucky enough to say this is not a total waste of my time. Let me just go and see if there's something here. Because most people are very successful, not naturally going to be drawn to any kind of self-help talk. Unfortunately, they rather going to chase after the next success because that they know that makes them feel better. Or most people who are into people pleasing and is going to rather go and find somebody else to help because they say my own problems is not so important as these poor people that I'm helping. So you know what, I'm just making my problems like non-existent, and so I rather go and focus on the thing that makes me feel better, which is helping others. Now, if we talk to somebody now who's very successful and feel good about themselves and they actually know they can achieve a lot of stuff, but their life is unraveling around them, what is it that we say to that person to say, um, you know what, it can be easier? What do we say, Paul? What would be your best shot?
I would say to that person, um, have you ever considered that you are unique, that your point of view is valid, that you don't have to be validated by anybody, that you have a voice and a choice, and you can step into your power, and you can actually do what feels right for you? That's what I'd say. That would be my best
Okay,
shot.
All right, now let's illuminate another part. So, in your family, achievement has been very highly validated. It's been
Yeah,
always visible. You are a worthwhile person as long as you achieve according to these standards that we have set here. You know, the bar is not
yeah.
low, the bar is high. And if you reach those standards, you are a worthwhile person. So you have to literally go and untrain your mind, because the thing that has given you validation from your first grade school you went to, right through to where you are now today, is achieve. Achieve and you'll be validated. Achieve and you'll be validated. Achieve and you're a worthwhile human being. Achieve and you are an acceptable human being. Now, how do we get past that mindset?
Look, if it's a life, if it's a life's work, if it's a life's programming, and the person you're talking to is like their 50s or 60s. I have siblings, unfortunately, that are exactly like that. It's so stunning for them to hear that. They will probably not believe it because they've got so much to show for all their success. Their outward success is validated in so many ways that for you to say to them, listen, you know what, none of this really matters. It's what you actually think of yourself. Well, if you're lucky with a road to Damascus moment, and they can see that in a moment, then you're lucky. But otherwise, no. They will have to go through years and years and years of therapy. They'll have to hit the wall. They'll have to go through a lot of personal pain in order to actually get to that place. But
But
otherwise,
it's eating the work.
the outward success just carries that mindset. It carries it through to the grave, actually. And they visit that pressure down onto their children. I mean,
Okay, so I
I
want to
see
be
it with
clear. Sorry, Paul. I want to be clear. We are not against success. We want everybody to be extremely successful. We are talking about people who are successful, but they are not happy inside. They have
yeah,
this list that I've just read about. They are just not happy inside. They keep on chasing. They burn themselves out chasing. They wreck lives around them chasing. They empty inside and they don't know it, but they just keep on chasing. So, and they're just not happy and content and in a state of grace and peace. So it's not about not wanting anybody to be successful. Be successful, be wildly successful. It's about having the emotional part of you engaged too and being present in your own life, not just mindlessly chasing. Um,
yeah.
okay, so yeah, that's a very valuable perspective, Paul. Thank you for that. Um, do do really appreciate you coming and talking from the inside. So in the inside, would you agree from the inside? Would you agree that the one thing that's going to show us more than anything else is how we conduct our personal relationships with these people nearest to us, our loved ones, our children, our nearest people? Do you agree that that is actually where it's going to show if we are successful at this?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, 100%. Because I mean, if you're doing all that stuff that we've been talking about, that unhealthy stuff, basically what you've done or what you're doing is you are embarking on a massive abandonment of self. But you don't know how much of an abandonment of self you've actually done because it was never shown to you that you actually had worth, and you've never been validated enough to say you've been differentiated from your peers, from differentiated from your siblings, differentiated from your parents, and that you actually, you have a unique voice, and that is precious to you, and that's the foundation of all your views of life to come to whether it actually is good for you or not. So you lose yourself in all these other activities, and then you get all those other things as trappings, like a marriage, like children, like brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, parents-in-law, etc. You get all the trappings of a successful life, but your
Looking more.
relationships are yeah, you're looking good, but your relationships are like, it's just like a desert. It's a dry and it's a lifeless desert. And I've been
But,
there. I mean, I've been
okay,
there.
but on the outside, how does these relationships look to the world?
Well, they look perfect.
Mm.
They look perfect, except, as I say, you never know what goes on in a household when the doors are closed. So to all and sundry, it looks wonderful. Everyone's very, very like, on top of it. But the actual emotional, more than turmoil, the emotional like pain and suffering is there, and it eats like a cancer. It eats everybody like a cancer.
Yeah, look, I understand what you're saying. I've gone through so much of the same kind of thing where I've had people saying all the time, but you can do so many things, but what's there that you can't do? You're successful in this, you can do that, you're good with that, you're good with that. And underneath, it's just one absolutely, if you give it enough time while you're chasing all these things, it's this absolute bewilderedness. Why do I not feel like I'm fitting into this world? And in your relationships, um, me and Jan, our friends used to say, but you have a perfect couple, because that's what they saw. And it's not that we actually um, try to show the world that we were the perfect couple. We try to convince ourselves that we were the perfect couple. And so we just automatically went into denial about all the stuff that wasn't working. We had no names for it, we had no tools for it. So it was just like, blunder on. And just lumpy carpet over all the problems, hide it, carry on. Tomorrow we just pick up the pieces, we arrive outside, and we just look very happy, and we just look so content with our lives. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, nobody even knew I was married to an alcoholic. They didn't even know it. It's been the biggest surprise. When I wrote a book and I started writing, it came out because I hid it from absolutely everybody for all of these years as if it would be my own personal failure. And it's that thing that you just said, Paul, where the relationship from where it was happy when we were both happily codependent until it stopped working, which it can do. You can be happily codependently fixing each other until it stops working, and it will stop working sooner or later. But that thing where it becomes an emotional wasteland because you have managed to turn it into such a hamster wheel disaster where it just becomes worse and worse and worse, and in the end there's nothing left. There's just, you have systematically destroyed your relationship because there wasn't enough of you. Nothing to do with the other person, because there wasn't enough of you, and you had unrealistic expectations from other people, and you imposed um, too much on other people, and you imposed too little on other people, and you took responsibility for stuff that wasn't yours, and you didn't take responsibility for stuff that was yours, which is a mess without tools. This is the most wonderful thing, that thing, waking up from sleepwalking when you finally realize what was going on. And if I have to go back to looking perfect to the world, and nobody knows about the ways that I was over controlling my life, and how I was desperately hiding my messed up life with alcoholic from absolutely everybody, and just looking okay. And inside, I'm dying a little. I'm never going back to that. So it's what I'm saying is, it's so hard to make the switch from looking okay all the time. But once you've made it, you get this emotional freedom. You get this huge um, no, it's just freedom. It's an enormous boost to the way that you live life when you go, I don't care who knows anymore. And listen, anybody out there, please go and judge me for anything. I don't care. You know nothing if you want to judge me. It takes incredible strength to overcome such a thing, fix your relationship, and still be here and share it with the whole world. And anybody wants to go and judge my husband, oh, please be in his shoes and manage to overcome alcoholism and live your life present and say, okay, my wife, go and write about it. I can handle it. I mean, that's wow. Now, who wants to do that? Who wouldn't rather want to be looking okay? It's the mindset. It's like looking okay is nonsense. If you notice any of these things in your life, it's worth doing this work. No matter how perfect you've wanted to be all these years and look perfect all these years, it is doing the work to get you real emotional freedom. Makes you not care about judgments. It makes you be proud of yourself for what you've overcome. And then you are really strong. I know you're going to agree with me, Paul.
Well, yeah. I mean, as you said, and I didn't believe you in the beginning, but as you said, when you get to a point that it just becomes your story and it's brought you to where you are and you're really happy with who you are, then you actually look back and you think, you know what, I wouldn't change a single thing. And if you've had a really rough time and some of the things that you've done are really reprehensible, it's hard to believe that you can still say that about those things. But then you have to acknowledge that without having gone through those things, you wouldn't be where you are now. And so you actually make peace with those things and you wouldn't change a thing. But it's quite weird. It's a quite a weird thing, but it is easily understandable.
Once you've done it, that's when it's easily understandable.
Yeah, it's easy to understand that a heroin addict that sits on a world stage, say, and talks about heroin addiction, he wouldn't want to change anything because that's what brought him to that world stage. It's like that, but
Yeah,
it takes a lot of convincing when you're not there yet. And then
yeah.
when you're there, it's sort of tentative for a while. And if you're there for long enough, then it's like, yeah, actually, I wouldn't change anything because the horror of some of the things are far enough away for you to be able to say that about them.
That's the problem, Paul. A lot of people have got this way of like, I'm not that person. I'm not that heroin addict. I'm not that. Even if you drink too much, you can say, I'm not that alcoholic because look, he's a bum and he's lying in the street. So I'm not that person. So and then the more of your external self-esteem that you have to hold on, the more you can justify how you are not that person, and you can keep on holding on to whatever it is that is getting you through, because that thing that you are doing, whether it's heroin or alcohol or workaholic like I was, or over caring for people, which is also what I was doing, addicted to a person, all of those things are ways for us to handle the turmoil inside of us. So if you have anything you're holding on, anything where there's a two in it, anything where you're not in balance, then it's your way of handling the turmoil inside you that you have no name for, no tools for, and no help with. But if you have external validation for yourself, you're going to have to walk into a wall. You're not willingly going to say, okay, I've had enough now. Let me just go and be an enlightened human being, because you still have so much of that external stuff that kept you going. And I completely agree with you, Paul. You're going to have to walk into a wall. And everybody has got a ground zero. Everybody has a day when they wake up and they realize there's more. And I, as yet, have to see the person who gets there the easy way. Oh, hello, good morning, world. Today the sun is shining, the birds are tweeting outside, and I'm just feeling like I should become an enlightened human being right now. You can do that, and you can go and be a Buddhist. And if you have not really done the work inside of yourself, you'll be an outward Buddhist. You won't be the Dalai Lama, I promise you. So, if you want to have a real change in life, there's a moment when you actually decide what I'm doing up to now is actually painful. So I don't know, are we having this conversation in vain? I don't know. But what I can say for sure is, if you're not that person who is this high achiever and who is driven all the time and you're not yet at burnout and you can still handle it, somebody is married to that person. Somebody is in a relationship with that person. Somebody is the child of that person. Somebody is experiencing this fallout. And maybe that's the person we can talk to. Maybe that is the person that we can really help, because that person knows how it feels to be in a relationship with somebody who only have external self-esteem. It's much easier to work on ourselves when we realize we've got low self-esteem. It's devastating. It's hard. It's hard to pull ourselves out of it. But our levels of delusion is not so high. When we've got external self-esteem, we have so much that we can hold on to that we can delude ourselves till the end of our money, or the end of our achievements, or till the third relationship, which I was really not bargaining on losing, goes away. So maybe today, if you are the person who is with that person who only has external self-esteem and taking it out on you, maybe we want to hear from you. Okay, Paul, anything else before we go to comments? See, we've got some comments here.
Just now when I was saying that, you're saying how, what is your best shot to get through to those people, maybe in one or two sentences. And I said to you, some of those people have got so much external validation going, and it's happened for them for decades, that it's unlikely that they're going to ever stop. That's exactly what you've been talking about.
Yeah.
Is that the high achiever who has achieved a lot and has got a CV that's like this thick, and all his trophies, all her trophies around on the walls, and who need it the most, it's hard to know how those people are ever going to stop.
But I have to tell you at the same time, Paul, that look, I've worked with quite a few high achievers now, and it's never been on purpose that anybody said, okay, you know what, part of my high achieving life is that I want to have emotional freedom. It's always been there. It wasn't all I walked into it, can't take it anymore, and I need to find a way. And it always starts this way. Okay, tell me what I'm doing wrong and let me fix it. And then it's an expectation of, I'm going to give you the instant solution this minute, and you're going to go home and fix it. And it's always a bit of a surprise to find out, no, it's a process to work on, and it's actually not about somebody else that you need to go and fix it. It's working on yourself. But when a high achiever find out that they have messed up, they are mortified because they hate being wrong. And that wonderful thing about hating being wrong and being a high achiever makes that my favorite kind of person to work with, because we are going to fix you so fast. So if you walk into that wall, I'm waiting. I love helping you past your denials. Just remember, I'm waiting for you. Okay, all right, Paul, let's go and check the comments there. Right, let's see. Is that comments? This way. Okay, we're going to say hi to Linda. Hi, Linda. Nice to talk to you. That's nice, eh? Okay, all right. Glad you're here. Okay. Right, anything else that you can think of that we want to share with people on the inside? All good? No other questions there in the comments? All right, so let me give an invitation. Is anybody who wants to come and jump on the screen? What you do is you go and click a link. We're going to go say goodbye. As soon as the little song has been playing, then the link will still be live. You can come and join us in, and we can just have an honest conversation. We love that part of it, when we can afterwards just sit and chat. It's like the best. Okay, so come get your coffee and come and join us. And if you're having any problems, we can talk about it. And if you have anything to share, and even if you just want to tell us that your cat had babies, that's still good. Okay, so if you watch afterwards, remember to go and put your comments out there. And if you know somebody needs this, okay, I'm not promising you success, but you never know. Because if you repeat the same thing long enough, and sometimes just somebody's at the right place, and sometimes it's just said in a way that person can finally hear. Now, if somebody needed to hear this, and they have heard us tonight, something may just click. So if you know somebody who needs it, then please share, please invite them onto the group, and if you have any comments to make, please put them in the comments and I'll come back and remember to tag me. And give us a like, please, people, because then Facebook is very kind to us and we will share it to more of the group and more people will get to see it, and you just never know who may be needing it. So we like your like. So thank you for all of that. Okay, everybody hang on in the studio. We're going to say goodbye to Facebook in a minute here. Let me play our little song here. And where is it? Let me see. Our bye-bye song. Okay, Paul, you can wave goodbye to the people. No, it's the wrong thing I've got there. I wonder it doesn't want to play. There, okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.